NyraBets is the best play in online horse racing and betting. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. NyraBets.com.
Well, the big weekend is finally here. It's Breeders' Cup weekend out at Santa Anita. 2 days of races, 4 Breeders' Cup races on Friday, a pick 4 covering all 4 of those races, and 9 on Saturday. We kick it off with the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf race. And keep in mind for NyraBets, if you bet $25 or more to win a horse, you'll get a $10 bonus, $10 back on any $25 or more dollar win bet on one horse in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Like many Breeders' Cup races, a classic battle of East versus West with some Midwest horses thrown in as well. Looking at the top horse in the East, that's Oscar Performance. Oscar Performance has put on Oscar-worthy performances up in Saratoga, breaking his maiden, and last time out in our Pilgrim, the big prep at Belmont Park for this Breeders' Cup race. He's been devastatingly good using his early speed to his advantage, but he faces considerable other early speed in here, particularly in the 9 well-able, the sprinter stretching out, and maybe even the 4 favorable outcome, who we'll get to for trainer Chad Brown. I think he's going to face a lot of pressure up front, and he's going to face some tough closers. I'm betting against Oscar Performance. The horse I prefer in my top choice is the 6 Big Score. Big Score is coming out of a big score in the Zuma Beach out at Santa Anita. That's their prep for this race on the new turf course, and he took to it. He's a closer, but what I liked about him was he showed a little bit more speed, got himself in the game last time out, going to get plenty of speed in this race to run into, and he was a dominating winner of his prep last time, and I like him to come back and win this Breeders' Cup race. I don't think the Europeans are particularly strong in the colt race. I think they're much tougher in the filly race, but there are other horses to talk about, particularly a couple that ran at Keeneland. The horses that ran 1-2 in their Bourbon, the prep for this race, they were Keep Quiet and Ticonderoga. I respect Keep Quiet. I think he ran a winning race when he lost at Saratoga, and he was very game to win this race. But Ticonderoga, the 2 on the outside, who was lugging in, lugging out, and his own worst enemy in this race, he might have run the best race. The question is whether or not he can start overcoming those problems and put it together. I still think those horses may be a cut below. The dangerous prep, though, was run up at Woodbine, and that was their summer stakes. And Good Samaritan won it, and Good Samaritan is a major, major player in here. They wisely decided to run the turf instead of the dirt. However, I think Channelmaker, who finished 3rd behind him, beaten 3 lengths, ran a sneaky good race, and Channelmaker's 30-1 on the line, and Good Samaritan is 9-2. So for that reason, he's kind of my value play in here, Channelmaker. Also gets John Velasquez, which I think help his chances. I went 6-3-11-4 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. The 4 is favorable outcome. This is a horse that could be dangerous. Going the turf for Chad Brown. He'll be forwardly placed. I'm going to use all 4 of these horses to kick off the pick 4. That's the way I'll be playing it, using those 4, and my price play is the 3. Channelmaker, that does it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, and keep in mind, we've got a $300 bonus to sign up now for NyraBets. It's not going to be around long. The promo code is BC2016. You put $300 in, you bet it, and you get the $300 back. There is no better deal than that in racing. The second Breeders' Cup event will be the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and it features Dortmund. And in my opinion, there is no more likely winner on all 13 Breeders' Cup races than Dortmund. Here he is in one of the best races of the year when he lost to California Chrome, who's the heavy favorite in the Breeders' Cup Classic. They fought around on the racetrack. Dortmund used his speed to his advantage, and he lost a tough one to California Chrome. Yeah, he hasn't won a lot of races recently, but he's running against the best horses in the world. He doesn't meet them here. He has the speed to get position. And to me, Dortmund is a very likely winner, and I will be singling him in the pick 4. My idea is to spread in the other races, but I'll be singling Dortmund. Now, you could argue that his biggest competition comes from the winner of last year's Breeders' Cup Sprint, and that's Run Happy. Run Happy's connections, for whatever reason, have decided he's no longer a sprinter. He wants to go a mile. They prepped him in a mile race instead of running him in a sprint race, and he should have run the Breeders' Cup Sprint this year. He might have won it. We'll see if he can stretch his speed out. This is his win last year in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. His return race was a 4th-place finish at 1-5. It wasn't a great race. It wasn't that bad, but they were against inferior horses. He'll go to the front, but Dortmund's not going to be compromised, and Dortmund's just a better horse. He's going to beat Run Happy, even if you think Run Happy is the second likeliest winner in this race, as in some ways I do, because he is a talented horse. Now, there's nothing wrong with Gunrunner. Gunrunner's a pretty good horse, and we'll take a look at Gunrunner losing a tough one in the Pennsylvania Derby to Connect. And you could argue that he covered a lot more ground than Connect, and maybe he did run the better race on the far, far outside. And Gunrunner's a terrific racehorse, but he's not as good as Dortmund. And I can understand the argument that he is the main competition to Dortmund. I just think Dortmund's a better horse. I don't have a knock on Gunrunner. I just don't think he's good enough to beat Dortmund. I don't think Tom Cruise is good enough to beat any of these horses. Now, we'll look at Tom Cruise last time out in the Kelso, and you can say, well, he's better coming from a little bit more behind. And in this race, he had to use his speed because he had to chase the eventual winner of this race. And I get that. He didn't run badly in here, and frankly, his last two races have been good. But I think he'll have to take another step forward because it's not like they're going to be blazing up front, so he's going to have to be forwardly placed as well. And Dortmund is a better horse with maybe more natural speed. My picks in here, 3, 7, 9, 8, the four horses I mentioned. The other horses, to me, are just too slow to win here, but I think Dortmund's going to be a heavy favorite, and I think he's going to be tough to beat. I'll be singling him in the pick 4. Keep in mind, Naira Bet's the best place to be playing. We've got a special promotion for the Breeders' Cup. Promo code BC2016. Bet 300. Get a $300 bonus. Sign up now to bet these Breeders' Cup races. Third Breeders' Cup race on Friday afternoon is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. It's a mouthful and is a terrific horse race. You've got a lot of good Europeans coming over, and you've got a lot of good horses running in America. Now, I think the best American horse is La Coronel. And La Coronel, who had a very impressive turf debut at Saratoga, easily beating a horse that's a huge player here, New Money Honey, won with devastating ease against a tough field, the Jessamine. She's a good horse. The problem with La Coronel is she drew post 14, and in a race where I want to get some prices, where I think a lot of horses can win, I think she's a big-time player, but I don't want her to short price from post 14. So I've left her out of my top 3 selection. She's my 4th choice. I'll be using her, but I can't take a short price on a horse with that kind of post, but she is good. So is New Money Honey. Now, New Money Honey was no match for La Coronel when they met at Saratoga, but that was her debut, and La Coronel had the benefit of running in some dirt races prior to that. And New Money Honey put it together as a maiden in her second start, easily winning the Miss Grillo, a race where the 4th-place finisher came back to win a very competitive stake at Belmont Park this weekend. All 3 of the first finishers in this race are in here. That includes Coasted, a good horse for Leah Giamatti, and Rimska, a long shot who's a player for Chad Brown. Chad Brown has New Money Honey. He's got Rimska. They're both players. They're both on my tickets. And New Money Honey draws post 3, and I think with a little improvement, she may be able to turn the tables at a much better price on La Coronel. You've got some good American horses, but you've also got a very nice European contingency for this race. And 2 players that have both run a mile. Oh, actually, only one of them has run a mile. One of them was Hydrangea, who finishes second, a very close second, intricately. It's interesting. Joseph O'Brien, the son of Aidan O'Brien, trained the winner intricately, his first Group 1 winner, and she beat Hydrangea. Hydrangea came back and ran once since that race. The other horse has not. And Hydrangea ran very well in her subsequent start behind Rhododendron. I like her chances, and she also drew the rail. She's on my tickets for sure in here. Now, the European that might be the most talented is Roly Poly. The draw did Roly Poly no favors. Now, this is an interesting race because the horse that Roly Poly, she's finishing second. She'll get beaten in the nose in those familiar Tabor Silks. The horse who's third, that was Lady Aurelia, who previously was undefeated and a 2-year-old sensation. Roly Poly is good, but she's a war front. Is she going to be effective stretching out from 6 furlongs to a mile? And can she do it from post 13? They're both very big questions and big enough for me to try to beat her in here. A wide open race, but I want to have some prices. I went 3, 1, 11, 14. I'm going to use 4 to start out the pick 4. I'm going to single Dortmund. I'm going to use all 4 of these horses in my pick 4. A big spread as I have some ideas to beat the favorite in the Distaff. An interesting race, but I like New Money Honey in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. Keep in mind, though, once again, you want to sign up for Naira Bets. This is the time. A $300 bonus. Promo code BC2016. You bet 300, and you're going to want to bet at least 300 in these Breeders' Cup races. You'll get back that $300. That is a good deal. Well, perhaps the most talked about Breeders' Cup race this weekend is the Breeders' Cup Distaff, and it's the way it's supposed to be. It's the top 3-year-old against the top older fillies and mares, and this is a good one, and includes the 3-year-old sensation Songbird. She's 11 for 11, and she's done it the hard way. She has pretty much danced every single dance. She's met all comers, and she's beaten them quite easily, and she uses her speed to her advantage. The problem is she's facing quality routers for the first time in her life, and she's facing horses that have consistently run as fast, if not faster, than she has on speed figures, and that's one thing. And if you like her at 5-1, that's fine. The problem is she's going to be in the 6-5 to 8-5 range, and on paper, she is not close to deserving of that. She is the very essence of bad value from a betting standpoint, and while she's a wonderful racehorse, this is a challenge that she has never faced before, and I believe you're supposed to bet against her, and my idea is to be alive to all of her competition in the pick 4 if I can get my horses home earlier, because I think that's where there will be value. Now, the horses that she has to beat, the main competition, are the California Sensation, Beholder, as well as Stellar Wind. Now, Stellar Wind finished second this race last year in a very good performance, a 3-year-old, and she has been better than ever. She's been taken somewhat out of her game when she's been forced to be close to the pace, and she's still been able to beat Beholder. Now, Beholder's going to be on the outside post in this race, and she's the one who's going to take it to Songbird early, and Stellar Wind will be able to relax a little bit more. Both of these horses are very, very dangerous, though I think that Stellar Wind is the more preferable one, and her price at around 3-1, 3.5-1 will be very fair. I think they are the 2 horses to beat, but I do not discount the horses from the East Coast. And we'll look at the horses that finished 2nd, 3rd, and 4th behind Cavording, who unfortunately did not make this race up at Saratoga in the Personal Ensign. And that includes Carolina, I'm a Chatterbox, and Forever Unbridled. I think all 3 of these horses are very talented, and any of them can make their presence felt in this race, and I prefer to bet them at much bigger prices than Songbird. However, the one I think is the scariest is Forever Unbridled. Forever Unbridled had a perfect prep for this, beat an overmatched field in the Beldame, while these other horses, like a Carolina, was just skipping races. She was running, as was I'm a Chatterbox, who had a big win in the Spinster at Keeneland. But I think Forever Unbridled has had to be closer to the pace, particularly in the race that we saw the Personal Ensign that she likes to be. And in this race, she can drop back and make one run. So for that reason, she's my preferred horse of the sort of East Coast-based horses, though she's kind of a Midwest horse. I like Stellar Wind. I like her over the 6, Unbridled Forever Unbridled, and the 8, Beholder, with a little bit of I'm a Chatterbox 4th. My idea is to beat Songbird. She's a very good horse, but she is the essence of bad value. 5, 6, 8, 7 in a terrific Breeders' Cup Distaff, and you'll want to bet this race, you'll want to bet them all, and you'll want to do it on Naira Bets. A $300 bonus available for a short time. Promo code BC2016. Sign up now. You bet $300, you get $300 back. Plenty of free action on these Breeders' Cup races. This concludes the 4 races on Breeders' Cup Friday.